Okay, so today I'm here with my mom and we're going to talk about 5 different topics. So the first topic is Columbia disaster slash explosion. So what do you remember about this event?
What I remember most about this event was where I was when it happened. I was in my high school lunchroom at the time, and they came and announced to all of us students in there what had happened. And then the rest of the day, we were allowed to watch footage and reports about it on TV in our different classrooms.
So like how old were you? You said high school?
I would have been in high school at the time.
Okay. And what do you remember thinking or like feeling when it was going on?
I remember, I guess my first thought would be, or was, how did this happen? And I think I was, so sad for the astronauts on board, for their families, and just wondering again how that could happen, and wanting to know answers as to why it happened, although, obviously we couldn't know that right away.
How did this event impact you, your family, or people you knew? Or like did it impact you?
I think it impacted myself, my family, my friends. It was something that we spent a lot of time watching news reports on TV about it. It was just something that you wanted to get more and more information and more explanation about it. I think it impacted us, as a country as well, having lost that many astronauts in such a tragic accident. It's something that, I will never forget, and I'm sure, others that lived through it won't forget either.
Okay, our next topic is the Gulf War. So, what do you remember from this?
What I remember most, again, was probably just watching news stories about it, and I would have been 22 years old at the time, so I would have been out of college, probably working my first job at that point. Again, it was all we could do just to be able to watch news footage and reports, and I do remember, seeing death tolls and that kind of thing, and thinking that, it seemed so far away from where we were living at the time, but also, thinking about soldiers' families, from where I lived at the time, and if they were involved in the war in any respect, just how much we thought about them, and wanting it to be over as quickly as possible to get them home safe to their families. I also had a friend that served in the Gulf War, so that touched my life a little bit. I don't remember a lot about the Gulf War, other than just trying to follow along and wanting to get as much information as I could.
Okay, moving on, we have the election of 2000. So, what do you remember about this event?
Probably the thing I remember the most about the election of 2000 was that the year before, we were looking forward to the year 2000, Y2K. Was the world going to end on January 1st, 2000? Obviously it didn't. They were preparing during 1999 for Y2K, and then you move along to the end of 2000 for the election. I personally don't remember much about that election. I would have been 30 at the time. I would have been married at that point. I just don't remember a lot about that election, other than obviously Bush won over Dick Cheney.
Okay, so you said you don't remember that much. Do you remember like just anything? Like, do you remember what you were feeling at the time?
I probably was feeling, a sense of relief that we had made it through Y2K without too many hiccups that I was aware of, and just, looking forward to the election. I'm sure I followed along, with the election as much as I do each time. Like, again, not a lot of memories about it. Just hoping, that president would lead us into 2001 and beyond with good leadership, and, continue from what had transpired from previous presidents.
And then how do you think that this event impacted you or your family or like anybody you knew?
I guess all elections would impact us, being United States citizens, as far as what the president's policies are and what type of leader they are, what laws get put into place when that president is in office, along with the Senate and the House. I don't remember this election affecting me really in any different way than any other election had. Yeah.
Okay, so next up is Columbine, and I have learned a lot about this in my psychology class as well. So although I wasn't born, I still know a lot about it. So I'm interested to hear about what you remember about this event.
What I remember about Columbine probably the most was just wanting to be glued to the television just to see the reports and find out who was safe and, had they captured the people that had done this, how could this happen, feeling terrible for the students involved, the faculty involved, the staff, the parents, feeling terrible for the parents of the children that were at the school, trying to get there to find their children, to make sure that they were okay. And again, how could something like this happen? How did we let it happen? What safety measures were in place at the school? Who was the person that did it? Was it an adult? Was it, a young person, a teenage person? Just so many questions going through my mind. That's why I wanted to, watch the news reports. I just couldn't get enough of watching to find out, where they were at with determining how it had happened and if they caught the person that was responsible or the group that was responsible.
And then how old would you have been?
I would have been 29 at the time, would have been married at the time, no children at the time. But yeah, I'm sure my husband and I, watched a lot of the news reports together as well.
And then how did this event impact you or the people around you?
I think it probably impacted me just personally, just because I just felt so bad for the people involved. And as far as, eventually wanting to have children, you hope that something like this doesn't happen in the schools that they go to, that there are, obviously safety protocols in place, and just feeling, again, sad for the families involved and hoping that, justice would prevail for the people that were responsible.
Okay, our final event is 9/11. So what do you remember about this event?
This event was something that I'll always remember where I was, what time of day I found out. I was actually at work, sitting at my desk, and I still remember hearing someone come down the hall near my cubicle. It actually was a coworker of mine. He had just gotten to work, so it was just around 8 in the morning. He came down the hallway and he just kind of yelled out, "A plane hit the Twin Towers, a plane hit the Twin Towers." And I turned around and looked at him and he just looked so scared. And I thought, what is going on? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean a plane just hit the Twin Towers? And so again, televisions were turned on. We were allowed to watch it during the day, any television that we wanted to at work. I remember how hard it was to be at work that day. I could not concentrate whatsoever on work, just because it was such an incredible event that I couldn't keep it off my mind all day. I could not wait to get home just to get in front of the television and watch the news reports, watch what the media had to say. Yeah, that's what I remember from that time of day when I found out anyway.
And how old were you when this happened?
I would have been 31 at the time, and I was actually pregnant with our first child that was due the following February. So just a lot of fear went through my mind, I guess, just like, what is happening to our country? Who's doing this? Are other things going to happen? Is it going to happen in other places? Are we going to be safe? Just a lot of fear and wondering who did it, and feeling terrible for the people that were killed and the families that were involved, and all the people that had to go in to, as rescue people, whether it be ambulance, firemen, policemen, military people, that type of thing.
And then how did this event impact you or the people that you know or family?
I think it impacted myself, my family, people that I know, just because it was a national tragedy. I think it really affected everyone in the United States in some way or fashion. I think it probably affected everyone living in this country at the time. And again, it's something that I'll never forget. It's something where I know where I exactly was when I found out what I was doing, what time of day it was. It'll just always be etched in my memory.
Okay, so to wrap this up, which of these events do you think made the biggest impact and why?
I think that 9/11 made the most impact on my life because, again, it's something that I'll never forget. It's always etched in my memory, and where I was when it happened, what I was doing, what time of day I found out, just the reaction, the people that I worked with, and how we just really came together during that time, just to, watch footage, talk about it, talk about whether people knew people involved somehow, directly or indirectly. It's just an event that I'll never forget.
I would also say 9/11 because it's something that is still remembered today and talked about today, and it's something that even though I wasn't alive for, I still know a lot about, and I think that says something about this event, and it's something that I will never forget even though I wasn't alive for. And so yeah, and then what events from our lifetime do you think will make it into the history books and why? So for me, I would say the derecho that happened in 2020 in Iowa, because it was something that affected everyone, even though it affected some people more than others. You could really just see the way that people in Iowa came together and were willing to help one another when we didn't have power, or just we were all willing to help each other, and we're still rebuilding things from what had happened, and that's why I think it will make it into the history books. So
I think for me, the COVID-19 pandemic that started in March of 2020 will probably have the most lasting impact, really worldwide. Personally, it affected our children as far as their school, whether they could be at their school full-time, not at all, hybrid. It also affected my workplace, whether we could be at work or had to work from home. I've had to work from home initially from mid-March to mid-July of 2020, so I think it was like 15 weeks of working from home. You just really had to learn how to adapt. And then just also our own, health practices as far as wearing masks, washing hands more often, using hand sanitizer, socially distancing, all these new things that we as a society have had to learn, and some things we are still practicing, although restrictions are getting lifted gradually now that the vaccine is available for people that want to have the vaccine. Our family is choosing to get the vaccine. 3 out of 4 of us are fully vaccinated at this point. So we do feel, a little more comfortable, and certainly respect those that choose not to get a vaccine. It's, certainly something that I didn't ever think I'd have to live through, or that my kids would have to live through. It's something that, we won't soon forget, and just all the new things we had to do as a society to protect one another, and to just be more cognizant of other people, and how close you are to them as far as social distancing, that type of thing. It also, just affected our personal lives, whether you could go to the grocery store or out to eat or run errands. You just really had to be respectful of others, and, just to try to get through this. And I really think that we're on the upswing at this point. Yeah,